Irreverent, entertaining, cool. You're listening to LA Talk Radio.
You're listening to What Women Want with Judy Goss and Kristen West, only on LA Talk Radio.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to What Women Want Talk Radio. Thank you for joining us for our show tonight. Humor makes the world go round. Comedienne and best-selling author Amy Lyle. I'm broadcasting from New York, and my co-host Kristen West is in our beautiful studio at LA Talk Radio.
Hi, Judy. How are you?
Hi, Kristen. I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great, actually. I'm feeling the California summer sun and just hanging out. It's pretty good today.
Oh, good. I love it. I wish I was there. You know, Kristen, we've reached way over 1 million downloads, way over at this point. We still got to get the new reports from Stan. And that was been since we first hit the airwaves. And between latalkradio.com's archives, iTunes, Google Play, YouTube, and all over social media, you can find us everywhere. So listen to those replays, and we're taking sponsors for our show for the next few months as well. If you contact us before September 1st, we'll also throw in a bonus sponsorship with our National Women's Conference, which we'll be talking about shortly. So email us for a complete deck through our website, whatwomenwantradio.com. I'm ready to laugh more, Kristen. They say it decreases stress hormones and increases immune cells.
There is actually something in LA that was really popular like 2-3 years ago. It was laughing yoga, where you would do yoga and then you would just laugh. And people used to swear by this. I don't know if they still do those kind of meetups, but laughing does definitely have therapeutic benefits.
Laughing yoga. Now that's wow. I can't imagine. You know, I've been taking a lot of yoga lately, the past probably 6 or 8 months or so. And it just seems like such a serene, meditative, has a serene, meditative quality to it. I can't imagine laughing as I'm doing it. That's hysterical.
Well, they have goat yoga too. So if you cannot laugh while a goat...
Do what?
Goat yoga.
I'm sorry, what's that?
Goat. We're a billy goat, like an animal. Like you do yoga with a herd of goats, and they jump.
This is in Texas, not L.A.
No, it's in L.A. It's in L.A. And Vallejermo. They do it in Vallejermo, which is kind of more rural. But if you can manage not to laugh while a little baby goat is hopping on you while you're doing your downward dog, then you must be a stoic. Because I couldn't not laugh while having a goat headbutt me during my yoga session. I want to try that.
Like you just transported me into like another dimension or something.
It's part of my job.
I got to get back out there to experience this. I feel so underaccomplished right now.
Okay, so everybody, we're going to have Kristen and Judy's goat yoga adventure the next time Judy is out here. This is happening.
That for show number 1 on our TV show. Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Well, my background originally comes from high fashion modeling, which is funny enough, with Ford New York. And after that, I was a magazine editor and then an author with St. Martin's Press, which eventually led me to hosting and reporting for TV, for Better TV, City Buzz, and all the TV networks around the country, both regional and national. I'm currently a regular contributor on NBC and Fox, and also hosting the show Behind the Gates New York, a luxury real estate show airing on AWE this fall. I'm also the mom of twin teenagers, which is a lot of laughs in our house, that's for sure. I'm also an entrepreneur. I founded the company What Women Want Networking 7 years ago, and we're opening another networking chapter in Alpharetta, Georgia this Tuesday. And that's to ramp up for our big yearly event. So stop by if you're in the area in Alpharetta. And of course, our National Women's Conference, our second year, is October 19th through the 21st. You have to join us at the Hyatt Regency in Atlanta, Georgia. And the theme is Go Big Because We Are Not Going Home. Kristen, let everyone know a little bit about yourself. You're an actress, producer, screenwriter, TV radio show host, and a whole list of other things that you do. It's incredible.
Well, I have my other show, Horror Talk with Kristen West, playing at Action on Film this week, and it's nominated for Best Web Series. So congratulations to our production team.
Yeah, awesome.
And this past week, I was actually hosting the artist interviews and the red carpet interviews at one of the top art events in all of Los Angeles, Art in LA Affair at the Artist Corner Gallery, which is steps away from the Hollywood Walk of Fame. And it was really awesome because I actually got to interview some of LA's top artists, including Fred Teakin and Grace Hindle. And I also got to speak with top Billboard recording stars, including Ricky Rebel and Harper Starling. And it was just so much fun to see so many people really celebrating contemporary art. There were 500 people at this event. It was really amazing. And the star of this whole show was a limited edition Basquiat print of an album cover he did for The Offs. And it was amazing to get to see a Basquiat in person, which now I can check that off my bucket list. So I host, and I also act in horror movies as well, and other movies too, and television, and just hang out around LA doing cool stuff most of the time.
Yeah, and you must be busy there with all you do. You're involved in all of these shows and constantly, walking the red carpet and hosting, but also producing and writing. So you have a lot of stuff going on. It's amazing.
They have the show Keeping Up with the Kardashians. It's going to be replaced by Keeping Up with Kristen West.
Yeah, Keeping Up with Kristen.
Pretty much. Yeah. And then, Keeping Up with Kristen and Judy will be the spinoff show pretty soon, I hope.
Well, that's in October. We're going to have Keeping Up with Kristen and Judy in October, right? When we were on stage again together. I love it.
Yes.
So everyone listening out there, if you want to meet me in person or Kristen or maybe Amy Newmark, she was on the show last week, the CEO of Chicken Soup for the Soul, who's our opening keynote for the conference. She'll also be attending the conference, believe it or not, with everyone else. So you need to join us in Atlanta in October, 19th through the 21st. It's at whatwomenwantconf.com. We're already filling the room. We currently only have 18 VIP tickets left. It's where personal meets professional development and inspiring all the way. So if you go to whatwomenwantconf.com and use the code GOBIGDiscount for $100 off before prices go up again September 1st. So grab your ticket now. They start at $225 a ticket with a discount. And that's for 3 days of fun learning and friendships and so much more. And Kristen, we already have women from 12 states registered so far this year.
We
still have
added
2
one.
months left. What's that?
We added one from last week.
We did. They just keep registering, and they keep coming. And, of course, in the Atlanta area also. And we also have world-class speakers who are flying in from all over the country, including our closing keynote from Boston, Cecilia Lang. She's the CEO of Value Setters, and she's got 200,000 angel investors in her network. The new Tony Robbins, who we love, motivational mindset expert David Baer. Inc. magazine called him the leading expert on mindset, and so much more. The value of this conference is way beyond a couple of $100. So tickets are going fast. I'm excited to say whatwomenwantconf.com and use that coupon code GOBIGDiscount before September 1. So let's raise our endorphins right now because I'm having a laugh, about to have another laugh with Amy Lyle back on our show. Actually, a proud laugh this time. We had Amy on our show when she first released her funny memoir, The Book of Failures. Amy thought she would sell a few copies to friends and family, but remarkably, it's been a bestseller on Amazon for over a year. Lots of fun stuff has been going on in her life since then. Movie roles, a regular spot on an Atlanta morning show, and her own screenplay is in the works with previous DreamWorks executive Suzanne Gerva. I hope I'm saying that right. So tonight we're going to catch up with Amy, who's been on a Why I Shared My Most Mortifying Moments and Why You Should Too tour to talk about how being more authentic and able to laugh at yourself can be immensely freeing. Now, I picked her up backstage in an Atlanta company segment on 11 Alive down in Georgia about a year ago, I think. She didn't want to talk to me. I stalked her. And now she's a regular on our show. Welcome back, Amy.
Hello. We're covering the United States with LA, Atlanta, and New York.
I know, isn't it amazing? And
yes, it's so
fun. I feel like it's been years since I met you backstage on Atlanta and Company down in Georgia.
I know. So much has happened in your life with your new awesome, fancy, $200 million apartment. I know that's an exaggeration, but that's what they look like, show, and all kinds of crazy stuff.
Oh, yeah. I wish they were my apartments. Oh, my gosh. When I got hired for the show, the producer said, there's only one problem about being the host of this show. I said, what is that? He said, well, you're walking in and out of these, $100 million apartments. Well, I can't call them apartments, mansions. And he said, and then you go home to your own house. And I just looked at him and I was like, okay, thanks. Wow. So yeah, it's quite a dream. But and you, my gosh, you've been up to all kinds of things in the past year, even since we've had you last on the show.
Fun stuff, including I heard you guys talking about goat yoga. We have goat yoga right down the street from my house, and it's Kristen, wouldn't you say there's something magical about goat yoga?
I think I'm so dying to try this. I've got to get out of my comfort zone, like Amy Newmark told us last week, and I've got to make the trip. But I've met goats in person, just at petting zoos and my former life in Texas, so I'm acquainted with goats, and I love them. And the idea
there's something magical. I can't describe it, but it's usually
so you've
you're
done
outside.
it?
Yes, they have. They have a farm in Milton, less than 10 minutes from my house, and it's this very picturesque setting. And they have bunny rabbits and chickens and horses, and then they have this space with a nice squishy platform, and then you put your yoga mat on there. The ghosts will eat your yoga mat, and they really do. They come up to you, and they're real docile type animals. And I can't describe it. It was just magical. You should do it if you had. You guys, when you come to Alpharetta, I will take you to goat yoga.
Down there next week.
Yes, I will. Kathy Duffy, I know the farm owner, and she would be delighted to have you for goat yoga.
Oh my gosh!
You are live streaming this.
We got to do a Facebook Live of goat yoga.
I was about to say you are required to live stream this.
Yeah, that kind of is an oxymoron there, Facebook Live goat yoga, but yeah. Right.
You're taken away. Okay, so I haven't done goat yoga in a while, but I'm currently having llama drama. I don't know if you've ever been around a llama, but I'm getting ready to shoot the new cover of my book, the front and back cover, and it's a long story, but I got the idea to have a llama, and I had booked a llama, and then I found out the llama could not travel. There's all these rules, like a horse that can't be haltered. It's the same with llamas. Some of them can't be haltered, and so this wasn't a traveling llama. There was a mix-up. They thought I was coming to the farm to do a photo shoot, and I'm like, that's not funny. It's only funny when the llama's in a photo shoot. That's taking the llama out of its element. So anyway, I'm in a mad dash between now and Friday at 10 a.m. to replace the llama. And I'm flexible. It could be an alpaca, maybe an emu, or an ostrich. I'm open to any animal at this point.
My goodness.
I want to hear that story.
Wow.
I just think it'll be so fun. It'd be so funny because, the next book is the Book of Failures, Friends Edition, and I have this whole funny pet section. There's airplane section, travel, relationship, all the stuff, and there's a llama story in there. So I thought it would be funny to have a llama on the cover.
Okay, back up. We got to get your story and where you started, and how you came to this Book of Failures, and how you can be so brave to put yourself out there in black and white, and sell your failing self. I want to know. Let's start from the beginning now, Amy. Who are you?
In the beginning, well, I was a corporate trainer for a very large staffing company for 15 years, and I remarried someone that had 3 kids, and I have a daughter, so we had 4 kids. So I really went from being a kind of part-time mom, because my ex-husband and I shared custody because I traveled, to really a full-time mom. And it kind of threw my system in shock. So, fast forward, I took a volunteer reoccurring acting role with a nonprofit, and I started writing for them these cute plays, became a playwright. And then after that, I wrote a full screenplay called #FakeMom. And it was, kind of loosely based on my life, where somebody who was in the corporate world and she gets thrown into this stay at home, suburban life, the contrast of that. And So I wrote the film under the mentorship of a guy named Rodney Henson. He had vetted films for Disney for 10 years, and he kind of, kept me structurally sound. And so when the screenplay was finished, he introduced me via email to his attorney, who is by you, Kristen. He's on Wilshire Drive, Peter Kaufman, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And so he introduced me to his attorney. I called the attorney, and he said, I know who you are, and I'm not going to represent you. You don't have any money. You don't know anyone. You're no one. And I was like, that makes me really, really sad. And he started laughing. He was like, well, I put an expletive in there, but yes, I said that makes me really expletive sad. And he started laughing. He said, I'll tell you what, I'm going to give you some free advice. You need to get on the map. You need to write a book or a blog. And I was like, what am I supposed to write a book about? I just spent, over a year on the screenplay. And he said, write what you know. And he put an expletive in his reply, write what you, expletive, no. And immediately, literally that second, I was like, I have had a lot of failures. And I started that day, and I wrote this book called the Amy Lyle Book of Failures. And like Judy said in the opening, I thought, this will be fun, and I'll get some press out of it, and I'll get on the map. And then, remarkably, it's been a bestseller on Amazon for over a year. And, on any given day, I think it's number 20 today, and it's, been out for 13, 14 months. And, I'm next to, like, Trevor Noah or David Sedaris, Amy Poehler, Jenny Lawson, Tina Fey in the ebooks. And it's just, that's really surreal for me because I'm such a comedy maniac. I'm obsessed with comedians. So to see, one day it was Amy Schumer, Amy Lyle, Amy Poehler, like all the Amy's were lined up.
Oh, wow.
So then out of that, I've had a lot of fun and some, a lot of doors have opened. Judy mentioned that's where we met, Atlanta and Company. I'm a frequent guest on there, and she is too. And then I got, a movie role with a filmmaker in Atlanta, and then I just got cast in another movie role for an Atlanta filmmaker, and it's just been so fun. And then to promote the book, every week on social media, I would put a funny failure of my own. It was Friday Fails. And it could vary from, something, one week my husband's middle daughter, Madison, got a snake tattoo behind her ear. And, she's like this beautiful girl going, to a sorority rush coming up. And it was just so strange. I'm not against tattoos. It was just out of character for anyway. So I would, put these fails on Facebook and Twitter, and then people, sometimes I had 200 replies of people sharing their fails with me. And it could be whatever, category I failed, they would copy it and share fails theirs. And so I had so many of those that I started soliciting them, and I have enough for a 50,000 word book.
That's a lot of failure, Amy.
I know.
But I love it.
It is a lot of failures, but they're so funny. And the whole point of it is, you got to laugh at yourself, and you can't get down. And some of these failures, you're like, oh my gosh, how did they ever get out of that? But they laughed at themselves, and they moved on, and they gave the gift to the rest of us where they shared the funny failure. And when you read them, it makes you feel like I'm not that weird. I'm pretty normal.
So you had your first book, and now you're actually on to your second one, and you have some stories about coworkers and divorces and families. And is it true people were basically inundating you with their failures, and so you pretty much compiled those into another book? Is that right?
Yes. Well, they started where they were so funny. I just started cutting and pasting them into a Word document. And then when I thought, I'm going to write another book, then I started soliciting failures. It wouldn't matter if I'm talking to a waiter. I'm like, who's your worst customer here? What happened? It wouldn't matter where I was, in a grocery store, at a tennis match. I would ask people, give me an example. And it seems like the more specific you are with a failure, the easier it is for somebody to think of it. And so I'd be specific, like, have you ever been on an airplane and something crazy happened? And they would come forward with it. And it's just been, it's been so fun. And I've been editing, and I think it's a good sign that, I haven't touched these stories for months because I wanted to get all the stories out. And now I'm going back and editing, and I'm still giggling. Like, that's a good sign. Like,
that is a good sign.
Read it again, and that I'm like, oh my gosh, that's so funny. Like just one today, I'll give you a quick example, is this woman's like, I called in sick, and I was like, I'm sick, and she's sneezing and fake coughing, and her boss was out of town, and so she's like, this is the perfect time to be, to call in sick. So she calls in sick, and so that's like a Tuesday. He doesn't get back until Monday, and she's like, oh, I'm clear. She gets back to work. He's back to work Monday, Tuesday. Wednesday, he calls her into the office, and she's like, he plays on the voicemail her message. And she's thinking in her mind, like, I sound good. Like, that's really convincing. Like, I sound really sick. And she stood up and she said, I feel better now. Thank you. And he's like, whoa. Wait a second. And then 3 seconds later, she is like belting out the entire song to Bohemian Rhapsody.
What?
Like thunderbolts and lightning, very, very frightening. Like, she's belting that out. She pulls into Taco Bell. She orders something. All of this is on the voicemail. She didn't hang up the phone.
Oh, geez.
And so she's like, and she starts sweating, and he's like, go back to your office. And then she says the sweetest thing. She said, he had a little smile on his face as he sent me back. Like, he thought it was funny too. He's not going to let her get away with it, but he did think it was funny. And but it was so funny. And she was like singing the song like, Galileo, Galileo, la la. And she's listening to herself sing that song.
So I have to ask, what have you learned from other people sharing their failures? What have you learned?
Okay, so one time I posted quirky habits, like I don't like my foods to touch. For example, strange things like that. And 300 people commented.
What?
On their habits. 300 people. And it was everything from like, I eat my M&Ms in Roy G. Biv order, to I tell my individual pets, every one of them, goodbye before I leave in the morning, and I tell one that they're in charge. I mean, like, the funniest, quirkiest things. And I'm telling you, it made me feel more normal. I was like, a lot of them, I was like, oh my gosh, I do that too. I didn't think that was unusual.
So before you took this journey into failure, you did
what?
Before you took this deep dive into your failures, into the failures and quirks of other people, you didn't feel normal? You didn't feel like you were just an everyday lady?
No, I didn't. I mean, I'm pretty high functioning. You know what I mean? I had a corporate job, and I'm married, and I'm
pretty high functioning. What?
Dysfunctional, I think.
Pretty high functioning nut.
Yes, and the dating
fail. Though honestly, I mean, I don't feel normal either, but I don't think that being normal is necessarily all that it's cracked up to be either.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I don't think anybody's normal.
The dating ones were so funny. The dating ones and the coworker ones were funny, but the dating ones, like one lady said, she met somebody on, an online thing, and they emailed back and forth for, a month or whatever, and they finally went on a date. And so she met him in a restaurant, and he was standing by the bar waiting for her. And when he turned around, he had a eye patch on. And she said, oh, my goodness, I'm so sorry. What happened? Were you in an accident? Because, she had seen photographs of him online. And he bent down and whispered, he's like, there's nothing wrong with my eye. I'm just trying to be edgy.
What?
And so, so she let that slide. And then she talked to him about it. She's like, that's kind of funny, but don't do that again. So, like, literally the second date, he showed up with, like, a carpal tunnel, like, wrist, like, band. And then she's like, really? That's not funny. Don't do that anymore. And then their final date, he showed up with like a full air cast on like his left leg.
But what's wrong with her that she kept going out on dates with him?
I was about to say.
She thought she made it clear. Like, she thought he was just being funny. Like, listen, I'm serious. Like, that's not funny. Don't do that anymore.
That's like next level, though.
It cracks me up.
I mean, how much did he have to pay for the air cast?
I don't know if I would have or not, to be honest with you. I haven't been in this situation, but I think that's highly peculiar. Highly peculiar.
What were you saying, Kristen?
I mean, think about how much that air cast must have cost him.
I know. Maybe he got it like at a secondhand store. I mean, I don't know. I should ask her, like, was it in good shape?
I can't get past the eye patch. I would have been like, you left me at hello. I mean, wow.
Well, for me,
that's just a drop in the bucket. You will not believe the stories that people told me. They are so outlandish and so funny and so sweet. And you know what? They overcame them, right? Like they lived to tell the tale. And that's what I think is so magical about people sharing their failures. We live in such a world of perfection and everything's filtered and all that stuff. But really, if you want to bond with people, tell them a funny story. Tell them a sweet, funny story about yourself. And that's I think it's very authentic and endearing when someone tells me, it makes them very vulnerable when they open themselves up like that. I think it's what makes relationships magical. People do that.
Do you think humor, though, is always an option with some of our failures? Because sometimes we fail really hard. We have, like, really bad breakups, or really, we have maybe a business fail. Is there always a bright side to these failures, Amy?
I'm going to quote Nora Ephron. You know who Nora Ephron, and she's the famous writer, New York City writer, and
I interviewed her on the red carpet.
She
red
wrote
carpet.
What's her famous book? I Hate My Neck and Other Things About Middle Age or something like that. And When Harry Met Sally.
Yeah, no,
right?
She was legendary.
Yeah, something's got to give. And
so what did she say?
She said, everything is copy, given enough time.
Given enough time.
Everything is what?
Copy. Everything is copy, meaning everything is a story.
Everything
is copy. Everything is a story, given enough time.
I didn't really like her.
Oh, she wasn't nice in person?
Oh, she was awful. But everybody else,
that hurts my heart. But she was a genius, comedic genius.
Everybody else that I've ever met that's met her thought she was a really amazing person. But she was really nasty to me. But
that's sad. Because when you think somebody's an idol.
My failure. I called her the wrong title.
Oh.
And it wasn't on a live show. It was edited, it wasn't like anyway, she just laid into me in front of like everybody that was watching. I was like, huh. But
what was the title? I would say she's a writer. What was her title,
I don't
Judy?
remember. It was several years ago, and I probably shouldn't be talking about like that because she passed, but she was that was an epic failure for me, I guess. But
well, there's a certain generosity.
I tried to laugh about it after.
When someone makes a mistake, I think one of the things is that if someone makes a mistake and it concerns you, you need to have a particular generosity of spirit.
Sometimes.
Yeah, or laugh or go with it. I will tell you, this past week at the art event, I really messed up one particular interview because I was interviewing the person as if they were an artist, and I didn't realize until halfway through the interview the person wasn't an artist. And I was like,
goodness.
But the lady I was interviewing,
we're all artists, dear.
That's
true. Right.
It's true. We're all performance artists in this little cosmic soap opera. But she was nice enough. The lady I was interviewing was nice enough not to like lay into me. But I think there is a sort of a generosity of spirit you have to have. When someone makes a mistake and it impacts you, I'm sorry you had that experience, Judy. I mean, why would anybody be mean to Judy? But
why would anybody be mean? Why wouldn't you want to leave the best best impression rather with every single person that you meet?
Yeah, I've actually never told anyone that story because I just didn't want to. I don't like talking bad about people, but she's not alive anymore, so I figured. But
she's really, dead. She's mean. She's dead.
And I'm not really too much of I'm not a sensitive person. I wasn't born in New York, but I have become a New Yorker, and I've got pretty thick skin. But she really screamed at me, and then even the camera guy was just looking at me like, oh my God, and I was like, okay. I'm like, take two, let's try it again. And I did it perfectly what she wanted me to call her, which was like a 10-minute long title, after she screamed at me, which, was good that I got it right the second time right away. But yeah, it was really weird. And I definitely couldn't laugh at that one for a long time.
I can imagine.
My gosh. I wonder if you could dig up the footage of that. Of course, we don't want to spread.
I don't want to write a book of failures, Amy.
Okay, you just send those to me.
So
send those failures to me.
Send the failures to me. So, Judy, I'm curious. Have you ever talked about that with your kids, and about that experience? Have you ever let the twins know that sometimes people are a little unreasonable?
Sometimes people will rip you apart on the red carpet.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, in different ways, not that particular story because they don't know who Nora Ephron is.
Right.
But definitely, I let my children know, especially because sometimes, especially I think, Kristen, when, you and I when someone's got an entertainment, like career in entertainment, it seems so glamorous,
Right.
And a lot of times it's not. And a lot of times we need someone like Amy to kind of keep us laughing through it all.
Yes.
But they have to know that, we are real people and that we do go through real things. And the ways to find that humor is really important because otherwise, and I did this for a long time too, you take yourself way too seriously. Amy, do you find yourself sometimes taking yourself seriously about your humor at all?
Yes, in a way. For example, if someone sends me a story, sometimes they write as they would speak, and how somebody would tell a story at a dinner party doesn't necessarily translate to how something would read in a book. And so, and that's so awful of me because people have been so generous to send me a fail, and I'm like, why would they say that? It's not even funny. But I just what I do is I read it, and then I kind of roll it over in my mind, and then I rewrite it. And then it comes out, a better way. But yes, and I do stand-up comedy, so sometimes, especially when people, and this is just a personal preference. I'm not judging. Some people really like it, but when some people get up there and they're just like really, really gross, and with the language and what they're talking about, I just think it's so disrespectful towards the audience that they paid money to come and see a comedian, and then they're gross.
Unless they're known for that, right?
And yeah, you're right. Some of them make it, and a well-placed, word is really funny. I mean, a well-placed, F-bomb, Kevin Hart, he's hilarious. But just saying, a lot of times it's like they don't have anything else but like sick jokes and the F-bomb. And it just gets really old, and there's a lot of them out there, and I just think it's cheap. But that's me. I mean, whatever, that's fine. People can do what they want. That's just not my preference, and I think the audience is kind of like lukewarm to it.
Yeah. So where do you draw the line? You seem a bit on the conservative side, but you still want to be funny. And a lot of times when we make fun of ourselves, we do walk over a line, right? Sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, in my last book, I had, a phone call from my friend Sharon, and I wrote the phone call, the contents of the phone call, and she was at the OBGYN, and she's like, my vagina's too clean. And, she went through this whole thing of how you can't, do all this stuff to your vagina. You have to just let your vagina be alone, and it's creating a hostile environment, and blah, blah, blah. And it was a true story, and it was a woman's health story, and it was a funny story. And so I felt really comfortable, like even if her mom read it or my mom read it, that they would think it was funny because they could relate to it. I wasn't just throwing out the word vagina to throw it out. It was like it was the star of the story, her vagina. So I thought that was fine.
Kristen, you can follow up with that one.
Some people were offended. Huh?
Kristen, you can follow up with that one.
Well, I mean, I think there are so many things in our lives that we love to keep secret or we don't know how to talk about. Failure is one of them. Vaginas are definitely another. We don't have a lot of we don't have a lot of national discourse about the role of the vagina in everyday life or the microbiosphere, which is the female genitalia. And usually the only time we talk about our vaginas is with a medical health professional or possibly with a friend, a trusted friend. Have you ever experienced that too, or that's a strange smell, or whatever it is? So, I mean, it can be particularly funny and interesting to talk about female parts and female issues and genitalia because it's something that's kept so hush hush all the time. I mean, Eve Ensler had a whole play about that, and the shock value of how many times the word vagina is said in that play is, the vagina monologues. That's one of the reasons that play is so effective, is because you normally do not hear that word so often in 1 year, much less 1 hour long, 2 hour long sitting. So
right.
Yeah, so sometimes I think there's shock value, but there's also, things that we are uncomfortable with can be very funny. So I have to ask you, you and Judy were, at the Atlanta morning show, and Judy was stalking you, and
she totally ignored that comment in the beginning, didn't she?
Yes, she did.
I didn't, because, that's not even true. Judy is so gracious. I stalked her.
You stalked her?
Totally ignored me. And then I messaged you and, texted you or called you, several times. And I thought, geez, I guess she really doesn't want to be on my show.
Oh, my gosh. We're going to heal.
I was emailing you. Please let me be on your show.
Okay,
No,
we're going to heal this.
Different.
Judy, Amy, we're going to heal this right now. I want you to put your hands over your heart.
I wanted to take a picture of her and her book, and she didn't want to take a picture with me. And I was just like, wow, okay. Well, I knew. See, I can sniff out those best-selling books when I just knew it. It just released, right?
Yes, it had just released. And I was probably so nervous. That was probably one of the first times I'd only been on the show a couple times. And I'm so starstruck when I go in there. And your listeners, I don't know if they've ever seen Judy, but she was a Ford model. She's very beautiful, she's very tall, she's very thin. And so I probably just got a little tongue-tied when I saw you because you're so glamorous.
Yeah, that's a good excuse.
Judy, accept the compliment. Okay, I'm gonna play pretend therapist here. Judy, accept the compliment. Feel the love from Amy. Amy, feel the release of fear and tension. We're all good now.
I knew that.
We need
book
some
was
goats.
Be
Where are
a
the goats,
bestseller.
Kristen? We need the goats for the yoga. Breathe in. Breathe out.
Yeah, Kristen, we tend to have bestsellers on the show.
We do. So, Amy, after your encounter with Judy at Atlanta Morning TV, you're pretty much a regular now on Atlanta Morning TV, aren't you?
I am. They are so sweet and generous to me, and I'm on there about every 2 weeks, and it's so fun. And you guys have been on shows before. It's fun to be on the show, of course, and their hosts are so nice there. Everybody's so nice. But it's also fun because the cast of whatever's rolling through Fox Theater normally stops by and says hello. A lot of Atlanta filmmakers come by and say hello. A lot of actors that are in films in Atlanta come and say hello. So you never know. And, of course, they have musicians and writers and all kinds of personalities, like Judy coming on to be on the panel. And
yeah,
so
I'm coming next
really
week.
Fun.
I'm going to be on the show next week.
What day? I'm coming I'm going Tuesday.
I'm on Thursday.
Aww.
I hope I have the right day.
So you're going to have to do goat yoga on Wednesday. But so, Amy, I have to ask you, you seem like you have the personality for morning television. You're peppy, you're ebullient, you're perky. Are you a morning person?
I am. I'm not a morning person, like I jump out of bed at 6 a.m. morning person, but I am a morning person. Like I don't get up and need a cup of coffee or anything like that. If I'm up, I'm up. And this is so embarrassing to say, but I work from home, and so I crash. So I'm like, if I'm up, I'm up, and then I crash and I have to take like a 20-minute nap, and then I'm up again. But so I'm either up or I'm asleep. I'm not like a groggy, grouchy type person.
I am.
You are?
Oh, God, yes.
So
I just, I want to be so grateful that I woke up and I'm healthy and I can see and I can walk and talk. And, the first thing I do when I wake up is I say thank you to the universe and to God and just for being here because I'm so, and then I get out of bed and I'm like, rah. I mean, it's such an idiotic, push-pull with me.
I love
Kristen,
it.
Are you a morning person?
No, I'm not.
No.
No, I'm usually in bed somewhere in between 2 and 4 in the morning.
Never. I could never do that.
I'm up. Sometimes if I know I have something to do early, I will get up, but I'm generally noon to 4 in the morning is my peak time. I'm kind of nocturnal. And
oh my gosh.
Yeah, I'm a little bit vampiric, I would say, but it's fascinating because you two both have that in common. You've done morning TV and I've never done morning TV, and I'm like, I wonder what's that's like. Judy, do you have any fun?
If you come to Atlanta, I'm sure Judy and I could maybe ask, they're very kind to us. I bet you could be on morning TV if you would like to be.
What was your question, Kristen?
Well, I was interested in knowing, like, do you have any fun morning TV fails? Either of you?
One time Jamie Bendel was on, and he's so nice. He owns the Punchline in Atlanta. He's on there a lot. Actually, he's on there all week on Atlanta Company promoting It's All Good. It's this funny segment he does with the host, Christine Polera. And one time I was on the panel with him, and we were talking about sex. If you one partner wants to do it and you don't want to do it, should you still do it? And so everybody spoke, and then they said, Amy, what do you think? And I'm like, would you have to be enthusiastic about it? You know what I mean? Or,
That's
or
right.
just have to participate. And then, and Jamie's like, yes, you have to. And then at the end, Christine asked, like, what are you going to do differently in your life since we had this talk? And I, like, totally went into Harry Met Sally mode, that where she's like, yes, yes, yes. I did that on the morning show.
Oh,
I
my
pounded
gosh.
on the glass table. And I was like, because Jamie goes, you're going to say yes. And then I said, I'm going to say yes, yes, yes. And
Power of
Lance,
yes.
Judy knows the producer. One of the producers is Lance. The other one's Chris. Their eyeballs, like, got so big. They're like, and Lance said, he's like, you look so clean cut and you're a mom, and I just never know what's going to come out of your mouth.
And you're a total freak, lady. Oh, my gosh. What about you,
And
Judy?
so I was like, oh my gosh, was that too much? Because it is a morning show. And I thought they're never going to, every time I'm on there, I'm always like, they're never going to ask me back again. They're never going to ask me back again. But then they always do. Thank goodness.
Oh,
my
that's
God.
funny.
Do you have any morning show fails, Judy?
No, I can't think of any. I hate to be like that, but I can't think of any. I can think where somebody tried to pull me down, like our friend Nora, but I held on for the ride. No fails that I can think of.
It's
Not
here's
really.
the thing is, I think it's fun that you and Judy and I and you, Amy, we can talk about failure. We can be, good-spirited about it, and we can have a sense of humor about it. But I'm glad you brought up that point, Judy. Is sometimes people do try and pull you down. And
Yeah.
how do you deal with that, Amy? Have you ever had someone like aggressively try and take you down a peg? And how do you deal with it?
Are you kidding me? Write a book and watch your Amazon reviews. And luckily, I have great Amazon reviews, but then the bad ones, they're so mean-spirited. It's like, it's not really even a book review. A book review would be like, oh, I thought the chapters were too short, or I didn't understand. But they're like, I hate you. I hate your family.
What?
They're so,
A book
yes, there's
about humor?
a humorous book of failures. And this woman, I'm going to use her name, Margaret Poole, sent me this awful email about, she hated me. And she just had this, what it was, to be honest with you? I live in the suburbs, and I have a great life. I'm not going to lie. I have a fun, great life. I love my husband. It's just, we have a fun life. We have fun kids. We go on fun trips, whatever. We have a fun, normal life. And I just think that some people are in such a bad place that they can't laugh at anything. I mean, they really can't. And it used to hurt my feelings, but now it doesn't. I feel sad. I feel sad that someone is so angry and bitter or hurt in the world that they can't laugh at a story about a woman talking about her vagina being too clean, or they can't, laugh at me falling down, 2 flights of steps and my underwear showing. Like,
We're having a
that's the
fake
place that
orgasm
they're-
on the coffee table?
Yeah, or having a fake orgasm on the glass coffee table on a morning show. And so I really don't let it get to me. And I feel like, there's actors that I don't like, and there's writers I don't like. I personally would never, ever take someone down and never give somebody a bad review. I wouldn't say anything at all, right? But they have the right to do that. They have the right to voice their opinion. And if that makes them feel better sitting in the basement, and cranking off a hateful review of someone's work that someone put, I just have to remember my intention about the book was all about love and lifting, especially women up, and you're beautiful and you're funny, and you know what, get up one more day, and this too shall pass. That I just have to remember my intentions were honorable, and so I can't control what they say. Mm-hmm. But I do. I'm in a writing club. I created a writing club in my town. We have like 125 members, and I remind them of that about once a quarter when they publish their books. I'm like, I just want you to know it's coming, these bad reviews, and you cannot take it personally. You got to just pay them no mind.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, because I think when you're succeeding and when you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, and you, especially if you get any kind of notoriety, like your book is right next to Trevor Noah's and Amy Schumer's and Amy Poehler's one week, inevitably there may be someone who feels jealous, or because they feel so disempowered in their own life and in their own efforts, they may take their aggression out on you. And it's one of those things is you do have to have a tool to bounce back from that, because it can be hurtful. And
oh, sure.
Yeah. And Judy, do you have any insight into that too? I mean, obviously, everybody has people that, maybe tear them down instead of build them up. But is there any way you reframe like bad stuff like that?
Yeah, I mean, it goes back to what Amy was saying. What is your true intention? And if you really stick with what your original reason is, why you started, why you're here, and really work on, and we always come back to this on the show, it seems like, on working on your inner self and loving yourself for who you are, then you can really stand up to these type of people and not let them bring you down, because they're only bringing you down because you're letting them.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So if you don't let them, then you have all of the weapon power not to, you just, that's the whole thing. Like, people get sucked into it too much, and then they, let themselves go. And I think if you just go back inside and figure out the real reason why you're doing whatever, or, what your intention is, and if it's a good intention, then you're always going to win out in the end.
And, don't you think, Judy and Kristen, sometimes when someone, for example, Peter, the attorney, when he told me, he wouldn't represent me, he wasn't being mean, he was being honest. Mm-hmm. And so I didn't take that personally, and I waited. He gave me good advice, and guess what? A year later, he's representing me in my film. I mean.
Yeah, well, geez, I mean, I went back to Ford Models 5 times. Kristen knows the story, to get represented. They told me no 4 different times, but they didn't tell me, no, don't come back or don't call me anymore.
Right.
So
right.
I figured,
and so you may have made changes, or you may have changed your approach. So sometimes I think my kids have a little bit of problem with that, taking constructive criticism. It's like, nobody's out to get you. We're trying to prepare you or protect you, or to, whatever. And so that's something too, like, not all criticism is an attack. It could be an honest, assessment. Like, maybe that's something I have to look at. So,
yeah. Yeah, for sure. Like, and the only, it wasn't a failure, but the first time I was ever on a TV segment was the CBS Early Show. It was a national segment in front of millions of people, the Saturday morning show. And Erica Hill was the one that tried to trip me up 3 different times in my segment. And it was my first ever, appearance like that. And, I was frustrated that she did, but happy that, I didn't let her ruffle my feathers. But in the end, I learned so much from it. And yes, she's mega experienced. I mean, you can't get much more experience than Erica Hill, from CNN and then CBS Early Show. So I learned so much from it, and how to tangle with someone like that. And I thought that she just didn't like me, and she wouldn't want me back, like you felt on Atlanta and Company, right? But they kept having me back, and I became a regular on the show. And with her, several times after that. And we even had a fun segment where, talk about a fail, I had one of those water squirter things, and like when you're in the pool, and it's almost like you push it and the water comes out, and you.
Oh yeah, it looks like a stick.
Yeah, it looks like a stick, but there's one that's like a triangle, and it's really big, and you can squirt it really far. And the guys that set up the table had put water in it, and I didn't realize. And we were out on the plaza with all of the people around, circling
Yes.
the plaza out there where they
Right.
have a CBS early show in the summer, and I squirted it. And it was like a delay because it went really high up in the air, and then went over the fountains and into the crowd on the other side. And then we started talking, and all of a sudden you hear this, "Wow!" Like, and Erica looked over. She's like, "Oh, sorry, guys."
Oh my gosh.
So it wasn't a fail, but it was really fun. And things like that happen on TV, and you just deal with it. But it is, my gosh, already the end of the show for this show, Amy. It was so great to have you back. Congratulations on everything you're doing and your huge successes in this past year. I can't wait to see what you do in the next even few months. My gosh.
Thank you guys. It just, I love being on your show, and I love you guys, and I follow you on social media, and it's so exciting. So thank you so much for letting me be a part of the show again.
Well, we appreciate your support, too, and everyone else, too, that's listening. And when we come back next week, we're going to bring on the founder of Women for One, Kelly McNellis. She's been touring the country after her best-selling book, another best-selling book, my goodness, Your Messy Brilliance. Oh, Book of Failures, Your Messy Brilliance. There's a theme here. And she's now rolling out her Truth Teller Tour, creating a platform for women to tell their truths and their stories, which can be really messy, as we talked about earlier, but always brilliant. So remember, subscribe to us on YouTube, and don't miss one show. Go to whatwomenwantradio.com for more, and we'll see you next week. Good night.
You're listening to What Women Want with Judy Goss and Kristen West, only on LA Talk Radio.